Hey y'all, and welcome to episode 3 of the Film in Vermont podcast. My name is Brian Carroll, and today's guest is Michael Henaghan. Mike is a director of photography who has worked in every aspect of visual storytelling, from music videos with Joyner, Lucas, and Jelly Roll, which earned a nomination for an MTV Video Music Award. Remember those 90s kids? That's gotta hit some nostalgia. His work runs the gamut of narrative films, commercials, music videos, but the consistent thread of keeping a keen eye on creating engaging visuals and best serving the story are the commonality in the broader scope of Mike's work. He has an uncanny ability to tailor his process to align with the vision of each project, ensuring that every frame serves the story and that his work brings the director's vision to life. A skill and an ability to be a chameleon of sorts that's really beyond critical and endlessly valuable in the current state of the industry. Yeah, we take time today to talk about Mike's work across branding, including Nike and Adidas, being a transplant to Vermont, and dig deep into his upcoming feature, If I Could Ride Again, and how they got that thing made here in Vermont. So, enjoy. Yeah, well, thanks for doing this, and being amenable to hopping on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk all things film in Vermont.
Yeah, and I guess just to give you kind of an overview, I'm trying to keep them somewhat short, 30 to 40 minutes tops, bite-sized kind of hits at all the people that are doing cool shit here and all of that. And obviously the intention of the project is to be a bit of a companion piece to the website and the database, but also collect the varying perspectives of an experience from all filmmakers of all kind of walks of life and experiences in the state, and also just selfishly to let me talk to other creative folks and kind of get the insight on things, which is a bit of the problem, right? Living in a state that's not huge, people are pretty spread out, and there's this kind of mentality of, oh well, you can't get there from here, so it's very easy to be comfortable in your own little bubble where you're at, and just kind of opening the conversation to understand what people need around here, what it's like to be a creative in Vermont, and really kind of just bolster the story that it's a beautiful place with beautiful backgrounds with really beautiful people, for keep it consistent, beautiful, making really cool stuff, and the potential is here. We just there are pitfalls and challenges that we see,
Yeah, totally.
And so the idea is this can go wherever it goes. We can talk about whatever you want, but just kind of to start, I feel like everyone has a different kind of a view on things, and I could talk to 27 different DPs about what they do, and they would all define what a DP is slightly differently. So I kind of want to start things off with each of these by giving the guests their kind of elevator pitch about, what do you do? What is your, stitch in the fabric of the greater landscape and tapestry of film in the state and beyond, and kind of, I guess the first question is, you would primarily define yourself as a DP, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So what does that mean to you in terms of responsibilities on set and kind of how you approach a project?
Yeah, awesome. I think that is a developing term for myself. I have kind of a unique way that I've worked myself up through the camera industry, through the camera department, where I've actually just never been an AC or anything like that. I've always had the camera in my hands, starting out as videographer, shooting documentaries and stuff. And then when COVID happened, focusing more on narrative film. And I always thought that, okay, cool. I want to have a camera in my hands. I want to, be operating and everything. And as I begin to work on bigger projects, I'm noticing that the job of a DP is actually a lot more managerial. I look at it as the bridge between the creative and execution, because you work with so many different departments, and you are the director's right-hand person on set. If the DP and the director are not in sync together, then that production's not going to go well. So you kind of have to lead the crew while the director is leading the actors on set, and just make sure that everything happens. Especially in like an indie world, you're able to answer so many more questions to production designers, costume, specifically like, you know, grip, electric, camera, all those things. Even talking to boom operators and telling them like, yeah, this is the frame. I think if you stand over here, like, you know, where can you get the best sound? So I think it's you kind of have to be a leader on set, but then also you are in the creative, you know, you have such a big impact on how the film looks. So it's just trying to find the cross between being a manager and then also working on the creative with the director.
Uh-huh. And I guess, where did you get your start in filmmaking? Did you always know that you wanted to have control over the visual aspects of creating narratives and visual storytelling and stuff like that? Or did you kind of like dip your toe in, like as a kid, did you, you know, pick up a mini DV camera or something like that and make stuff with your friends? Where did kind of, you know, when did you first get bit by the bug?
Yeah, this is actually a hilarious story. When I was a kid, one of my friends had a camera and we would make like whatever movie was in theaters, we would make a sequel to that, like in our basement. And for some reason, I just never wanted to be in front of the camera. I was always like, give me the camera and like I'll film you guys doing whatever. Like I remember we made, I think it was when Austin Powers 3 came out, we like made Austin Powers 4, and we were literally like rewinding the tape to do the edits. So that kind of just gives you an idea of like where we were at. And it was all fun. Like it was great. I actually told my parents that I wanted to buy a camera after doing that, because like it was my friend's camera, so I could only do it if I was with him. Like I could only shoot stuff if I was with him. And they told me, yes, you can buy a camera, but you have to save up the money yourself. So I started, you know, saving my allowance, mowing the lawn, doing all that stuff. And I finally got like $300-400 to buy a camera. And both of my parents, coming from, my dad was a banker at JP Morgan and my mom was a nurse turned nursing instructor later in life. So neither of them really had much creativity like in their careers. My dad was like an amateur photographer. But when I finally got the money to buy a camera, they were like, no, you have to put it in the bank. And I look back on that now and I'm like, Mom and Dad, if you had only known when I was a kid, if I like that this is going to be my career, I'm sure they would have looked at it differently. It's just such a funny thing that it ended up actually being like what I wanted to do with in life. Later on, like in high school and everything, I feel like everybody in my age bracket now like gets the same start in film, where, you know, you're making like skate videos with your friends. And so I wasn't very good at skateboarding, so then I think naturally I turned into like having this love for the camera and filming them. I think the camera was called like a Digital Blue, and it came with like its own editing software. And so we would like sit in my friend's house, and he also had a this is a different friend, he had a camera, and then we would edit like little videos and stuff. And then that turned into, I took a video production class in high school, and then a guidance counselor told me like, hey, it seems like, you know, you took this class 3 years in a row. Do you like this kind of stuff? You can do that as a career. And so then they helped me find a college that I went to. I went to film school, and then it just kind of took off from there. So yeah, it was just interesting that my parents were like, hey, maybe we don't do this. And then it just ended up working out anyway.
That's interesting. I actually, I had a similar story, and I thought yours was going to go a different way, but as it relates to music, I had a friend who's, you know, was slightly more well off than my family was, and his parents went and got him a guitar. He said, I want a guitar. And they went out and got him one, and he, you know, stopped after 2 months. And my parents said, well, get a paper route and buy yourself one, and then you can have one. And, you know, to this day, I still play music, and I think that that's a big part of it. Maybe it was like the working towards the idea of this that kind of had that ingrained in your head that, you know, if I work towards this, I can, you know, it can be something that I can really develop. Was there in terms of like stuff you were watching growing up, was there specific films that kind of geared you towards the visual aspect of things that made you want to like figure out how did they get that shot, or like, I really love symmetry, and so Kubrick is up my alley kind of a thing?
It's actually interesting. Like when I was a kid, I did not watch movies all that much. I think it was watching like skate films with my friends. Like their parents would buy. I spent a lot of time at my friends' houses when I was a kid. Like, you know, summer break happened and then you're just like, okay, I'm coming over, and I would literally stay there until the sun went down, and you know, we'd get into all sorts of trouble. A lot of it was like watching skate films, snowboard films. I didn't really, even like going to film school, I didn't even know. I thought I wanted to be a director. I didn't know what a DP was until like someone asked me to DP their film, and I was like, okay, cool. And that's when I really fell in love with that aspect of it. But yeah, like I kind of feel like stupid saying this, but no, I didn't really watch many movies when I was a kid. Now I'm like a huge movie buff. Like I watch at least an episode or a film of something every single night before I go to bed, as long as I'm not on a shoot. But yeah, like it was not something I was into when I was a kid.
Shifting gears though to where you're at today, you know, I've seen a bunch of your work, and I feel like you kind of have this uncanny ability to morph and blend based on the work that you're doing. And I don't think that can really be overstated enough, the importance of being able to adapt to specifically what you're working on. And particularly as it relates to Vermont, just being adaptable and kind of a chameleon where you can like join up with anything that's potentially going on and be a value add to it. So like the upcoming film, If I Could Ride Again, and I hope that this is okay to say, but like, it's a popcorn flick with kind of a focus on this heartfelt story, but you also do like some more gritty music video stuff and some pretty commercial work and stuff like that. So how has that kind of come to be for you in being able to like have your own kind of a feel and a vibe and everything, but also being able to create frames that serve the story that you're working on and bringing somebody else's vision to kind of to the forefront of any project that you're working on?
Well, first off, I'll say thank you. And then I think being a DP is different than being a director, where like you watch a Wes Anderson film, you can tell it's a Wes Anderson film. I would say there are certain styles that I like. Like I love dark, gritty, noir colors, like Narcos or Blow. Like those are kinds of films and TV shows that I like to watch. But I think like to be a successful DP, you are going to work with a lot of different directors. And if you come into a project and you say, this is how we're doing things, it's not necessarily going to serve what the director is trying to do. And I think that is the most important aspect of the role. Like directors don't always have the most experience. Like they have an idea in their head, but they don't know how to actually execute it. And I find, especially in indie films, as the DP, and then a lot of my crew are actually the most experienced people on set, just because I go from one project to another. Like I'll wrap a short film and then I'm shooting a commercial literally the next day, whereas the director would then go sit in the edit suite for a couple weeks and you know, finish up the project, whereas I move from one to another. So I think a very important part of being a DP is like you said, being a chameleon and being able to work collaboratively with a director so that you can serve the project. If you come in and you know, it's like, oh, I'm going to try and shoot that. Like if I tried to shoot If I Could Ride Again, like a neo-noir film, it wouldn't have worked out. Like we were looking for that to be kind of like we'd be ecstatic if it got picked up by Hallmark or something like that. And you just kind of have to adapt your style to the film or the project that you're working on. And so there are dark moments in the film. I'm trying to think what is in the trailer so I don't give anything away. We do, like, it is like a family film, and it's family friendly, but there are darker themes that it explores. And in those scenes, I felt that I was able to kind of light and shoot the way that it feels more natural or like more creative to me. And then, you know, a lot of it was filmed outside where we had the backdrop of Windsor, Vermont. Like it was absolutely beautiful. We shot some stuff in Claremont, New Hampshire. That area, it's absolutely beautiful. And we filmed a lot of daytime exterior scenes. So we were at the will of the weather. But you're able to, you know, add shadows and kind of bring everything to the same visual language. And I think that like it's finding the balance between doing what you like and like making the image your own, but then also being able to serve the story, because that is the most important thing. Like, you're going to ruin a project if you come in with your own ideas and you're not listening to what the director wants to say.
Yeah, and it keeps you in work, right? Being able to adapt is such a valuable asset that
I people always ask me what kind of stuff I like to shoot, or what I shoot, and I'm like, okay, I do anything that someone's gonna pay me to have a camera, and sometimes not pay me. Like, I just love being on set. I'd rather be on set than not. If the project is interesting enough, I will do it for $0 if you can like give me the resources to make it good and add to my resume and everything. But yeah, like being able to bounce between, you know, like a happy family film, like If I Could Ride Again, and then shooting like a neo-noir thriller a couple days later. I think that is a very important thing. And then, you know, in between that shoot, I'm shooting a upbeat corporate interview. And I think that's kind of how I've been able to make a living off of this, is being adaptable, because, you know, you're not going to be shooting a film every single day. You have to find other ways to make money. And yeah, it's just being able, like, it's all this. Once you have the skill set of using a camera and lighting and everything, you can use what you know and apply it to other genres, or I guess like styles, like documentary, corporate, narrative, commercial, music video, anything like that. And yeah, you just have to figure out how to take those skills and apply them to other areas.
Yeah, and we're kind of dancing around this idea. I do want to return to If I Could Ride Again and talk a little bit more about specifics about filming in the state and challenges and all that kind of stuff. But just in terms of like the broader scope of what you do, what would you say your favorite sandbox to play in is? And if there isn't one in particular, like is it doc work? Is it music video work? Is it feature work? What do you gravitate most towards? Like, if you could just work on one kind of type of film work, what would you prefer?
I would love to work on features, like full-time narrative features. I really enjoy being on set with the same people every single day. For the biggest shoot I've been on is 18 days. So like, you know, roughly three weeks, depending on how you break down the schedule. It is such a rewarding feeling when you wrap to like you've done this as a team. Everybody really gets to know each other. You've gone through hell and back with these people. Like, it is such a rewarding feeling. And yeah, it's just such a great feeling to be on set with all of them. And also there's some longer form storytelling allows you to kind of just develop cinematography itself as like a character in a film. It's you can do it. It's hard to do in short form stuff. But like, you know, starting out a film with wide angle lenses and you're shooting the character a little bit further away, and then as you get to know them, maybe it's tighter lenses, you're more intimate. It just gives you the ability to do that, and there's more of an arc for cinematography. Lately, I actually kind of went from like 0 to 60 on shooting music videos. I had shot one in my life before I was hit up to shoot for Joyner Lucas, and we went, like, I think the entire budget of the first music video I shot was like $2,000, and that was a 2-day shoot. And then to do the first one I shot for Joyner was 24 Hours to Live, and we shot for 5 days straight, had, you know, like 15 to 20 crew members on set every day. So it was a big jump. They are a ton of fun because you get to do a lot of cool stuff. And there's no like continuity. I mean, obviously it depends on what the actual project is, but we just kind of set Joyner up in a bunch of different locations, and it was like, all right, what cool stuff can we do? And it did very much feel like I was making skate films with my friends, but just with an actual budget. It's like, all right, like here's a backdrop, like do something cool. And then like all of a sudden Joyner's driving a tank down the streets of Worcester. Like that was crazy. So like music videos are definitely a close second. They're a lot of fun, but other ones I've worked on since then, they can be challenging. In like, I don't know, I haven't fully figured out that world yet of like where people spend money, how to spend it best, like what kind of crew you can bring on. But they are a lot of fun, and I would love to do more in the future.
Mm. So, going back to If I Could Write Again, like one of the biggest reasons for this whole idea, Film in Vermont kind of existing is, there's a lot of challenges that we face here. There's not broad scale tax incentives. There's not a lot that would bring Hollywood features to the state to film, aside from, oh, it's really beautiful, but it's going to be super expensive. So with If I Could Write Again, what was kind of, not being a locations person or not being a casting director or anything like that, from where you sat as DP, what was your experience like? I guess, both from someone who does work outside of the state, but also someone who has a strong connection to Vermont. What was it like for you, kind of being, I guess, the local guy in some manner?
Local in air quotes. I am very much a COVID transplant. Like, we moved here in the end of 2020. But like, I have straight up fallen in love with this state. The people here are so friendly. I've made more friends as an adult than I ever thought was possible. Like, Vermont as a whole is just an incredible place. I can't say enough good things about it. In terms of filming here, ever since we moved here, I was like, man, I really want to shoot a feature up here. And then Don Miller is the like writer producer of the project. He put an ad up on Facebook, started talking to me, and he was very into the idea of like hiring a DP who has connections to Vermont. Like, he literally has lived here. I think he's in his 80s, his entire life. His dad lived here his entire life. So he is, a Vermonter through and through. And he wanted to keep the film as real as it could be to like his story. And that involves, hiring people who are from here, who live here. We did as much as we could in terms of crew to find anyone local. Like, a lot of the PAs were local hires. I work with an AC, Alex Cope, down in New York a lot, and he actually was born in the Northeast Kingdom and like grew up there. So when I told him that I had a feature up here, he was, stoked about it. He was like, yeah, I'm absolutely in. So we did what we could to find other people who have like a connection to Vermont. I think the hardest part for crew, if we were to, because of where we were located, if we were to hire crew who like live in Burlington, it still would have required lodging for the crew. And then just having worked with the people that I work with regularly, it was that was kind of it made it all a wash to hire local crew. It was like, okay, I'd rather work with people that I have worked with before. And honestly, like, I would love to work with other people in Vermont as much as I could. I just haven't had that opportunity on this scale to do that. So that's kind of why we ended up hiring crew from like New York, or even my gaffer came from Maryland. It's just because we had that relationship.
Relationships. It's something that's so key to this aspect of the industry, being on a film set, and the sense of camaraderie that you gather working on something together. And I think that that's something that we're doing particularly well right now in Vermont within the film and creative media industry. The Vermont Production Collective, the Mothership Monthly Film Festival, there's these things that are sprouting up, creating a sense of community, giving people a connection point, and it's something that we all need to work towards to ensure that we grow so it doesn't disappear or just fall by the wayside. It's really a beautiful thing, and I think something that will only help us to grow an industry here and find a sense of being and belonging within a film community. It's also this like chicken before the egg kind of a situation, right? It's like we don't have a lot of large scale productions that come here so people can learn, but we don't have a lot of local people that have been on large scale film sets, right? It's so like the experience is lacking because of the situation that we're in.
Yeah,
really.
and even some of the PAs that we had, like they were maybe had just graduated college and they went to film school or something. They were awesome. So there definitely is like another crop of people that are interested in film, and I think it's just like a matter of time till when there is more of a workforce here. And I love all the initiatives of like trying to keep people to stay in Vermont, like keep the youth in Vermont. And so yeah, I really hope that can happen.
Mm-hmm. How about in terms of finding locations? Were you, involved in any of that, or was there talk amongst the crew about finding challenges? I know, like a big issue that I dealt with on a larger project that I worked on a couple of summers ago was what you had mentioned around we were having to house people, 45 minutes, 60 minutes away in White River Junction and Lebanon, New Hampshire, and stuff like that, because there's no infrastructure for a 100-person crew to come in to work on a film set, or even 30 guys who were here for the 3 months before doing construction work. So I'm curious about how the locations that you guys shot at for the film were kind of found, or were you privy to that?
I wasn't involved in like negotiations of locations, but I think because Don had grown up in Vermont, like I went for a location scout. I guess it was probably like April of last year, and we would literally just walk into a business, and Don would be like, "Hey, I'm Don Miller. I went to high school with your grandpa. Is it okay if we film here?" And the person would like they'd be like, "Yeah, like I just have to ask my dad who owns the business, and like everything would be fine." Like people straight up opened their doors for us. They would like we filmed it a coffee shop called Boston Dreams. Like they closed down, I think, an hour early one day so that we could film a couple scenes there. Everybody in Vermont was very friendly with like just helping us get this thing done. I think some of that was because Don Miller is just such a great human being. People gravitate towards him, and they're like willing to do anything that they can. But the people themselves who, business owners and Airbnbs that we shot in and all of that, everybody was just very friendly and interested in the cause. I mean, it like making movies is inherently a cool thing. So when you tell someone like, "Hey, I'd like to film in your house," they're like, "Oh wow, like that's actually kind of cool. I'll get to see my house, on hopefully a big screen." And they were very interested in it. So yeah, people like open their business doors, open all sorts of like not real doors. I'm trying to think of the word. Like I don't know. People were just very helpful, and so I can't say enough good things about the population of Vermont.
Yeah, and I hope that even as an industry, knock on wood, does grow here, that we don't lose that aspect of it.
Yeah, that is one thing I was very cognizant of. In New York, you go into someone's apartment or whatever, and they've like never had a film crew there. And because, or you could potentially spoil that aspect of their business for like eternity. Like if you don't clean up after yourself properly, they're never going to want to let a film crew in again. So I think as a crew, we made it a point to make sure that like every location was spotless when we left it, because we wanted to kind of, I don't know, pay it forward. Like, oh, they had a very good experience with us. We would let the owner of the diner like sit in and look at the monitor while we're filming a scene. And like, if you make it an experience for them, you treat them properly, then like they're going to pay it forward to other crews that do that in the future. And I think that like it essentially like leave no trace, I think is the best way to go about it. And I feel like we try to accomplish that.
Nice. All right. So here's a controversial question. How much does the camera that you're shooting on matter? I feel like 90% of like my social feed is ads for cheap lights or camera cages these days. Like how much does gear really matter, do you think?
I think it does, up to a certain point. Like we actually used an FX3 so we shot the A cam was a Sony Venice. And then we shot B cam, only very specific scenes, was an FX3. And it like that is an incredible camera. Obviously you get more with the Sony Venice, like it can shoot 6K raw, but if you are unless you're doing like crazy VFX or anything like that, a lot of it just becomes a wash. And at some point you need to figure out what camera is the best for the project that you're working on. And like it does not help you if you're a one-man squad, you go rent an Alexa Mini and like a set of prime lenses, and because you've now put all your resources into the camera, you don't even have enough time to like switch lenses or anything. So you have this beautiful lens kit and you can only use the 35 because it's just way more cumbersome. Whereas if you had shot on an FX3 with like a 24-70 zoom lens, you just would have set yourself up for success. I think as you get into bigger projects, it does really help you to have a like a proper cinema camera, like, you know, the Venice. It's like pretty bulletproof. It's not gonna just shut down while you're shooting because it overheats or something like that. It has like, you know, fail safes for recording and all of that. Those kinds of things at a higher level definitely make a difference, and that's where you are spending the money. But I mean, the last like 4 days, I just spent on like I don't even know what to call it. It's like an educational platform. We shot on my FX3, and the Venice was just sitting on the shelf because it made more sense for the project. Mm-hmm. So I think up to a degree, you know, you want to, nowadays everybody wants to shoot 4K, especially because everything's getting cropped for social. So I think up to that point, then like, yes, the camera does matter, but there is a tipping point where it's like, okay, now we need to invest in lights, more people on set, maybe better lenses, monitoring, all of that. So yeah, you have to figure out at what threshold does it make sense to invest in a bigger camera.
So in terms of like the film industry here, you know, you said you were a transplant. I think that's a very similar case for a lot of people, and a lot of those people moved here, fell in love with the state, and then they subsequently moved away. The first guest that I had on, Seth Grant, DP, moved here, fell in love, shot a feature, shot a few docs, and then just like work dried up, and so he moved to upstate Jersey because he can just get a lot more work in the city. What do you like, if you could whittle it down through your point of view, what do you think the Vermont film quote industry needs to kind of give it a jump start?
Honestly, if it depends on the goal. And I think if bigger productions, like, I don't know, I think If I Could Ride was somewhere in like the 300K range. Mm-hmm. We employed, I think there was like 40 people on set some days. If that is the goal, then I think tax incentives would be the biggest like help, especially to lower budget indie films. Because when you're in other states like New York, I don't know where the cutoff is, but New York offers tax incentives like I think up to $1 million. I think Ireland just passed all the way down to 100K. Films with a budget of 100K can get tax incentives. And so it's like the problem with what Hollywood is doing right now is they are producing one film that's $300 million when they could have made 10 for $30 million. Like, are you trying to make more films or like make one big film? And so if they're able to bring in tax incentives that are advantageous to lower budget projects, they'll be able to get a lot more of them that would help educate people. Like the more days on set that anyone who lives in Vermont can have is going to be better because they're going to be more experienced. You're going to face more situations. You're just going to learn more in general. It's always better to be on set than not. So I think like tax incentives would be a huge thing. Outside of that, I mean, most of my work that actually pays my bills in New York is not, I would say, like film industry adjacent. It is other industries that need video. It's more video production, videography. So Burlington, I would say, is the only place that there's like major corporations that have their headquarters there that would be producing those types of videos, like Ben and Jerry's, Burton, things like that. if there's a way to like that, actually, I feel like makes it more sustainable for filmmakers to live there, because you're not just waiting for the one big show to roll in. There's like other jobs that pop up that maybe it's only a 2 or 3 day shoot, but they kind of fill in the blank times between. So it is like a bigger problem for the state as a whole of just maybe needing like more industry to like be able to fill in the downtime in between larger film productions.
Mm-hmm. So what's next for you? What's on your plate coming up, or what are you excited about?
Oh man, I am excited. This week I don't have anything happening. We are doing literally, I'm like taking this week off. I've had a pretty busy June and May. And so I am just up here. I mean, it's hot. I don't know, where are you based again?
I live in Corinth.
Okay. I mean, it got up to 90 degrees here yesterday. It was
it's
so
like
hot.
Yeah, no, it was about the same here.
So it feels like this is like the first like real block of summer. So I'm literally just gonna enjoy Vermont as much as I can. We're gonna go down to the lake later tonight. I'm gonna crack open a beer and I'm gonna enjoy it. In terms of projects, I actually don't have anything on like the immediate horizon. I feel like there's kind of a weird space right now where producers and investors don't necessarily know what the financial stability of the country is going to be, and therefore how much money they will have in their bank account at a given time. So they are kind of hesitant to invest in a film when they don't know if they're going to have that money. So it's like a touchy landscape. I've been sent 3 scripts recently from producers who want to make a film in 2025. I don't know if it's realistically going to happen. I have a couple shorts coming up that I'm pretty excited about. Actually, with the same director, Nick Pinelli, from If I Could Write Again, we're shooting like a psychological thriller kind of situation. So that'll be fun. That's not until September. But yeah, I'm excited for that. We've started pre-production on that. But yeah, definitely this week, just looking to enjoy the downtime, which definitely took me a long time in my career to be able to do, instead of always feeling the need to like hunt for work and like, oh, where's the next job coming from. I feel like it's so important to when you have time off to actually use it and like decompress, go to the lake, go touch grass, and like enjoy your life, because when you're on a run of 14 days straight of working, you're going to be like, man, I wish I did that on my day off instead of like looking for work and scrolling Facebook and doing all that. So that's my plan for the week. I'm going to just hang. But yeah, then, next week we'll get right back to it. I probably have a couple pre-production calls and all that. But yeah, just excited to enjoy Vermont right now.
Summertime in Vermont, another reason to come here. We have seasons unlike LA, and all of them make you appreciate the next one that's coming, right?
Yeah. Actually, can you delete that last thing that I just said about summer in Vermont? It's Vermont's best kept secret. I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, just come for foliage. That's fine.
Keep summer for the quote locals. Yeah, but no, summer in Vermont, like we moved up here because we love skiing and snowboarding and all of that. But like summer is just incredible. It's next level, and I don't think anyone else knows what it is.
We won't link to any lists of best top secret swimming holes or anything like that.
Great.
Well, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for hitting me up, bringing me on, and actually pulling all this together. And definitely thank you for all the work you've done with the Vermont Production Collective. I think you guys are doing awesome stuff for the state, and any chance I have to kind of sing those praises, I definitely do. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Special thanks again to Mike for making the time to come on and talk about his own experience and in his own perspective on things here in Vermont. Quote, tax incentive has become a dirty phrase, or something thou shalt not mention when in Montpelier and under the gold dome at the State House. But I really appreciate Mike's perspective about small breaks for smaller scale productions, and I think there's a lot of water that it carries in terms of the conversations that we can have with government on how it could grow the industry here. Implementing safeguards to ensure that Vermonters get hired onto those productions that come here to shoot. promoting professionals who are here doing it. And a shameless plug, if you are one of those professionals, a business owner or private property owner of a potential location for a shoot, go to filmandvt.com and sign up today. If I Could Ride Again, the feature Mike DP'd here in Vermont, will be on all major streamers in just a few days on July 8th. And I hope to see another Vermont-based feature from Mike in the not-so-distant future. And I really look forward to all the work that he does do across the spectrum of, quote, film moving forward. And here's the gross part that I hate. If you dig these convos, be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to on right now. Give a 5-star review. And if you didn't like the convo, then feel free to just not leave a review, maybe. Tell a friend, share on your own socials, and I really, really look forward to the next conversation, to learn more from my colleagues here in the state of Vermont, and to continue the work to make films here. So in the meanwhile, be well, find a good swimming hole, and until next time, thank you for tuning in. Take care.